Hello, my friends. I'm so happy and honored to have you here today. I have the immense privilege of introducing you to mother daughter duo, Cheryl and Kimmy. Kimmy is actually a child life specialist. And so we love when we get child life specialists on the podcast. But what is very, very cool is that Kimmy has had her own medical experience as a child. And Cheryl, her mom, has come on with her. And so they're talking about what they remember, what it was like for them, what they saw in each other during that time. We get such a unique opportunity to hear some of the things that kids pick up on about their parent during a difficult time and vice versa, what it was really like for the parent when the child was going through a difficult time. So I'm so thrilled to have them here. They also have an amazing foundation which directly helped benefit one of our own here at Child Life on Call. And so this is an episode you don't want to miss. Hello, my friends. Welcome to Child Life on Call. This podcast is a safe place for parents to share their stories about what it's like to have a child that has a medical experience, diagnosis, disease, and or everything in between. We know there's power in sharing stories and that power multiplies when you can listen to other parents who have walked a similar path to yours. Giving and getting advice is great, but hearing how another parent navigates the complexities and nuances of healthcare is even better. As a child life specialist, my role is to support, validate, and provide emotionally safe spaces for kids and their families, and I am so honored to be on this journey with you. In addition to parent stories, we sprinkle in some expert episodes every now and again that have content for both parents and professionals in the field of healthcare, all with the mission to empower parents to be confident advocates and partners with the care team during healthcare experiences. We're so glad you're here. I just want to thank both of you for what you do and how you give back after what you have experienced yourself. And you know how important it is for families to have that soft landing when they're thrust into life and experiences that they didn't expect and that happen emergently. So, our love, Lindsay here, who works at Child Life on Call, has benefited from the work that you all are doing. If you guys could each just introduce yourselves and tell us a little bit about you and just some special things about yourself.
Mhm. Well, I'm Cheryl Whitty, and I am Kimmy's mom. We live in Spring, Texas, just a little bit, south of the Woodlands area. We run a nonprofit organization called Children's Transplant Initiative, and we started that back in 2017. And Kimmy planted the seed for that based on her experience of being diagnosed with a very rare kidney disease that ended up with her needing a transplant. And because of that, in that journey, we decided how important it was to come alongside families and fill the gaps a little bit through several different programs that I can explain later, and just let them know that there's other families out there who've been through it, who walked the walk, not only with the rare kidney disease that she had, and I'll let her explain that a little bit, but also through the transplant process.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, like she said, my name's Kimmy. I'm 25 years old, but back whenever I was 12, I was diagnosed with a rare kidney disease that led me to only have 20% of my kidneys functioning. Because of that, I needed a life-saving organ transplant. And thankfully, my dad was my donor. And throughout this whole process, we were able to start CTI, or Children's Transplant Initiative. And it's just been an amazing road with how many families we've been able to help. So very blessed to use our story to help others.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that you guys probably talk a lot about your kidney experience and that it's, a part of your everyday life now. It's what you do. It's your passion. But can you take us back to kind of those beginning things? And Kimmy, I'd love to start with you and just kind of you're right in that preteen adolescent frame of mind. Like
Mhm.
it's such a difficult time no matter who you are, but especially when you get diagnosed with a rare disease. Can
Mhm.
you walk us back to kind of what that was like at the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up as healthy as could be, very normal, very active life. And then one day my world turned upside down. It's kind of a strange story, but my hands went like this. I was in excruciating pain. We went down to the emergency room. They said I had dangerously low calcium. So that's why my hands were kind of stuck like that. And they said something else is going on. We need to transfer her down to Children's Memorial Hermann in the Texas Medical Center. And throughout a week of many tests, every test you can imagine, I was diagnosed with very rare genetic kidney disease. And like you said, as an adolescent, I was like, "What is going on?" I was just playing a soccer game the weekend before, and now I'm in the hospital for a week. I was very much in the zone of, I know I'm gonna get better, but I don't know how this is gonna work. I don't really wanna talk about it. It was it was a very hard time, but as an adolescent, I kinda internalized all that, which awkward preteen years, that's what a lot of adolescents do. But yeah, a lot of fear and confusion and just it's kinda crazy because it was so long ago, it seems like another life, but
Right.
it was a crazy whirlwind for sure.
That that makes a lot of sense, like, internalizing it all. I think we can still even do that, as we grow up into adults and just wanting to keep the thoughts to ourselves that are really scary and fearful. How do you remember your mom during that time? And I know that's probably a weird question because as we should be, like, we have a very egotistical, right, point of view when we're in our adolescent about how things are experiencing us. But what do you remember about your mom during that time?
I remember she was very scared. I do remember her being emotional, but very much like a mama bear as well of like, "My child is sick, but she's gonna get better." So I remember her very fearful, for sure.
Yeah. What about you, Cheryl? What do you remember during that time?
I remember, first of all, yes, I was fearful, and I remember how scary it was to hear that your child has a life-threatening disease, if that's how it was laid out to us. And it happened overnight, and so no time to prepare. So I was scared, I was fearful, but I was also in, as she said, mama bear mode. I was ready just, "Okay, what do we have to do? What's next? How are we gonna make her better?" Just taking in so much information from the nephrologist and the whole team that was coming in constantly and just trying to soak it all up, and I know that she probably wasn't even understanding half of what was going on because there was
Right.
a lot. Her body was really messed up inside, and she looked normal. And yeah, that's kidney disease. You don't really know what's going on. And so it was a emotional roller coaster, as any parent I'm sure would be on. But I think my biggest concern and my biggest task was, okay, what's next? What do we got to do? Just tell us what we got to do, and we're on that road.
Hmm. It makes so much sense for where you guys are now and how you just put into action kind of right away. Kimmy, what kind of patient were you? Were you a patient who liked to know every detail and exactly what was going to happen? Or were you like, tell me the need to know? Were you quiet? Did you build relationships with the care team? Did you prefer to talk on the phone with your friends? What kind of patient were you?
Yeah, I was very much the patient that didn't really wanna know a lot. I was quiet. I got did get along with my care team, but I also, like I said in the beginning, I internalized a lot, and that
Yeah.
kind of led me to be quiet on the quieter side. But I mean, I remember just I knew I was sick, but I was also very grateful for the doctors. So I
Yeah.
remember I would always say, "Thank you," like,
Well,
uh
she's a Southern girl and it was like coming out.
thank you so much for poking me 6 times. I was yeah,
Good.
I was a very quiet, calmer patient.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. So when mom would ask the questions, she didn't like that too much. Mom,
Let them do their job.
They know what they're
exactly.
doing.
Yeah.
I totally see that. And it's interesting now as you are an older adult and you're growing up and you're your own woman now. How have you changed in your medical experiences now? Because you went from, a lot of people taking care of you into kidney disease. It's something you have to take care of for the rest of your life. How did you transition into that? And Cheryl, I'd love to hear how, you had to step back too. I would love to hear from both of you.
Yes, it was a very big adjustment because, I mean, whenever I was 12 years old, I'm 25 now, it's kind of all I really remember for a part of my preteen years and teen years. I remember at 18, they were very much like, okay, you're an adult now. You have to take care of yourself. Like, okay, okay, here we go. But I also realized, like you said, like being a transplant patient, you are a patient for the rest of your life. I take medication every day to save my life, and I know how important that is. So, kind of just staying in the routine of I want to take care of my body and stay healthy. And I'm very much more now a little more proactive whenever it comes to talking to my physicians. I'm like, hey, I'm not feeling great, or this lab looks high. Can you please just give me more information? So I'm not as quiet as I used to be. I've definitely grown in taking priority over my healthcare and prioritizing it. But it was definitely a big change from little 12-year-old me.
Mm,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's a hard thing for parents, especially trick patients. I can only imagine if when they're babies, and you've been their caregiver and overseeing all their care and everything that's going on at the hospitals and things, and all of a sudden, they're 18 and you're told, no, can't talk to you, can you just sit in the corner, and everything is directed towards her. But luckily, that happened a few times, and that was really hard and frustrating for me. But our care team now, we kinda grew up with them a little bit,
Yeah.
and so they're very respectful of the fact that mom's here and she still cares, and, I'm not overseeing everything, and, of course, I think the hard thing when they're gonna be on meds the rest of their life, handing that over to them.
Right.
You you know, you've got to take care of getting your meds refilled. You've got to make sure your specialty meds are coming from the right pharmacy. There's a lot. There's a whole lot. And, some hospitals do a really good job, I think, of helping those young adults to transition. I think that's a big, big need in the hospitals to make
Mhm.
sure that those pediatric patients are transitioned and
Yeah.
follow and oversee, how they're doing.
Mhm.
It's such a complex transition, especially when you're probably receiving care from many different specialists and different things pop up, like normal just growing up as a woman, things come up, and how do I navigate all of that? I would love to hear about the moment where you 2 looked at each other and said, like, "Okay, we wanna start CTI. We wanna start this initiative to give transplant families this soft landing when they're going through it." Tell me about that day.
Mhm. Yeah. So it was kind of a process. It wasn't just overnight. As I said, I was a quieter adolescent. I didn't really want to talk about my journey. I had physicians recommend I go to camps. I didn't want to go. But I went to a church camp one year and the Lord kind of placed it on my heart. Okay, it's time to tell your story some way, somehow, and bless others with it. So I came home from church camp and kind of told my parents, hey, this is what I'm feeling. I feel like it's time. And we kind of got the ball rolling from there. But it did take a while, at least 5 years, for my heart to be ready to be like, "Okay, let's talk about it."
Yeah, so she came home and, you always ask, "Well, how was your week?" The Lord moved, all those questions you ask, and I wasn't expecting what she told me. We're like, "Oh, okay. Wow, what does that look like?" And at that time, my husband was feeling kind of the same thing on his heart. He was feeling like we needed to do something. Now, nobody really knew what that looked like. Um, and so I'm like, "Okay, I guess I'm along for this ride. Don't know what that's gonna look like." So we just kind of started researching what it looked like to start a nonprofit. We actually connected with an organization who help people start their nonprofit to make sure you have all the legal paperwork and everything's, all your T's are crossed and your I's are dotted and you can move forward. So once we did that, we established Children's Transplant Initiative, or as CTI as we're known, and we have more programs. We kind of were looking at, okay, what were the needs we had? And we thought, well, we can start with a mentoring program because that doesn't cost any money.
Right.
And we had a recipient and we had a donor and we had a caregiver. So we approached the social workers and said, hey, if you have any families that would love to talk, we're here. So we kind of started that way. Once the money started coming in, then we said, okay, well, we can help with Other things that kind of ate our pocketbook alive was parking, the food in the hospital, your co-pays, all those things that you just don't budget in for when you have
Mm.
chronic illness. So we started helping with financial assistance. We also became a part of the organ donation community. We became a part of that team per se. We're ambassadors of hope with Life Gift. And we also connected with Living Bank, both are here in Houston, just to promote organ donation, make people more aware how important it is, especially being a living donor.
We'll be right back. We're so grateful to have Payne's Instant Topical Anesthetic Spray as our sponsor of today's podcast. Help control pediatric procedural pain associated with needle procedures and minor surgical procedures while improving patient satisfaction. Payne's Instant Topical Anesthetic Spray works immediately. It is a non-drug and non-flammable topical spray that can be used to temporarily relieve the pain associated with minor surgical procedures and needle procedures. Pain-Ease is a medical device and does not contain medication. It can be a safe and effective alternative for lidocaine injections when used to temporarily control pain associated with immunizations, IV starts, blood draws, foreign body removals, and suturing or suture removal, to name a few. Pain-Ease works on a 3-step process. First, prepare the site and equipment for the procedure per your facility's protocol. Second, apply Pain-Ease by spraying about a can's distance away for 4 to 10 seconds or until the skin begins turning white. Finally, perform the procedure. The anesthetic effect of Pain-Ease lasts about 1 minute and can be reapplied as many times as necessary. Refer to application instructions for full details. Important risk and safety information. Consult your pediatrician when using on children 4 years old and younger. Do not use on large areas of damaged skin, puncture wounds, animal bites, or serious wounds. Do not spray in eyes. Overspraying may cause frostbite. Freezing may alter skin pigmentation. Use caution when using product on persons with poor circulation. Apply only to intact oral mucous membranes. Do not use on genital mucous membranes. The thawing process may be painful and freezing may lower resistance to infection and delay healing. If skin irritation develops, discontinue use. Caution: federal law restricts this device to sale by or on the order of a licensed healthcare practitioner. Studies suggest that Pain-Ease does not induce vasoconstriction, does not contaminate a site that has been cleansed, and is preferred by patients and practitioners. Pain-Ease comes in 2 different spray pattern variations, medium stream and mist. It is also available in 2 sizes, 3.9 ounces or 1 ounce single patient.
We thought, it'd be nice if we could have a small house with maybe 4 or 5 families who come in from out of town, give them a place to stay. They can be with other families. And so we started that way. Well, in our minds, we did. That was kind of our vision. Well, it ended up that we had a corporation come alongside us and said, "We love your mission. We love what you're doing." And they happened to be a corporate housing organization. And they said, "We'd want to help." And we said, "Okay, well, what does that look like for you?" And they said, "Well, we'd like to donate 2 apartments in the Med Center, fully furnished with all housewares." And we're like, "Oh, wow." So that's kind of how we got started. We got our feet wet that way. And then before we knew it, we had 3. And then, we kept adding because the social workers were like, "We've got more. We have more families who are in need." And we had a waiting list. We started the housing program in 2018. So currently today, we're running 8 apartments in the Houston Med Center. We have 2 apartments that help Delve Children's in Austin as well.
Amazing.
Yeah, they reached out at the beginning of this year and said, "Can you bring your housing program in?" And then we also are looking at possibly expanding to Dallas area to help Children's Health Transplant Program with housing as well. We currently do provide financial assistance for Children's Health in Dallas, Cook's Children's in Fort Worth, Dell in Austin, and of course TCH and Children's Memorial here in Houston. So we kind of have our little
Impressive.
across this fold of Texas, which we never would have imagined at this point. So yeah, it blesses to be able to, take away some of that burden, take away where are we going to stay? We don't know where to stay. We don't want to stay in a dingy hotel, type of thing.
Mhm. So many parents who have walked the journey that you all have and patient too, and you want to go and move and transition once you're in a stable spot to activism and advocacy. and it's hard to know what to do. But like listening to your story, it's just about like taking the first step. And it doesn't have to be like, we know what our mission is, we know what we're going to do, but you can listen to what the needs are and start really small. And if it's one family, it's one family. Kimmy, I would love to hear what your favorite part of your organization is. Like, what is like the thing you get most excited about?
Yes, I absolutely love meeting the kids. I
Mhm.
love coming alongside them and kind of showing them, hey, your life doesn't stop after transplant. Like you can still live a normal life. You can go to college, get a job. But I also love to be kind of like their sounding board because a lot of kids, preteens, they have questions. I remember somebody asked me, like, do you have a big scar? Like, what does it look like? And just kind of those questions that you only know if you walked through it. So that is definitely my favorite part. And so transplant person, like you kind of have a special bond for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm very blessed to meet those kids and help them for sure.
I
Yeah.
can imagine for parents too, like seeing you just glowing, being so beautiful, such a testament to what transplant can do. Just seeing the two of you is just a gift. I know that Lindsay feels that way for sure.
Thank
Well,
you.
we loved meeting their family. And of course, James being a kidney recipient, and a living, he had a living donor and everything. We loved being able to walk alongside them and just, encourage and just love on them and give them anything they needed. So I said, it really blesses us to be able to do that. Yeah. Do you know what Kimmy's profession is?
I do not. What is it, Kimmy?
Yeah. So actually, like I said, I did go to college.
Ah,
I am about to start a job at Children's Health Plano as a child life specialist.
get out of town.
Okay.
I as you were saying, like, I love working with the kids, I was like, she should be a child life specialist.
Yeah.
Wait, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I'm so excited.
It's amazing. Did you have interactions with child life when you were in the hospital, and what were those like?
Yeah, that's kind of how I heard about it and wanted to pursue it. I mean, child life was amazing. During my stay, even as that quiet adolescent, I still have contact with my child life specialist now. And, they were a light and very empowering during kind of that hard, dark time. And I just wanted to be that for other patients. And I'm very excited for the road ahead for sure.
Well, it's amazing when people in the healthcare system ask, like, what does child life do? And now you get to be a child life specialist and share from such both perspectives. We've had another patient turned child life specialist on the podcast before. She had tetralogy of Fallot. And so went through that, also met a child life specialist and is now living that. And she says she just has this kind of this comfort with families and they have a comfort with her, which is really unmatched but incredibly powerful.
Mhm.
So thank you for continuing to be a light in the world and being a child life specialist. I can't wait to hear how it goes. When do you start?
My start date is actually on the 21st of this month. So very soon.
Okay, and mom, how are you doing?
I am thrilled for her. It's not an easy road to become a child life
No,
specialist.
they don't make it easy, do they?
Or a but no. So, just walking alongside her and knowing how hard she's worked for it and that she finally gets to do what I really believe she's meant to do. I think she's, went through this journey to lead her to this point. And so she's moving to Dallas next week. So
Oh
I
gosh, the
I'm,
sky's the
I'm
limit.
yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
proud of her, and I know she's gonna be amazing, and I think it'll be so good for her just to, even be away from us for a while, move away and, yep,
God. Yeah. And I grew up in the Plano area, so I'm just such a fan of how much is up there and how many people you'll meet and the children's health, group is just incredible. Um, I would love to hear from both of you what you've learned from the other one.
wow, what a question.
What being
Oh,
in each other's life has taught you.
okay,
I'll go first. You can go first.
it's like, let me go. I can do it without crying, right, without the tears rolling. Well, first of all, resilience and bravery and just, uh facing life at a very difficult time, very difficult teen years, just facing life always with a smile. No matter what. I would see some of the darker days, but most people would just see her beautiful smile. And she just had really leaned, I think, into the Lord a lot. And that, I think, gave her strength and kept her going. I'm not saying she didn't have those days where, because she had to be homeschooled through her high school years. That was not in the plan. So those were some hard, dark days for her, but she persevered. We figured it out together. She just kept moving forward. And then I really think that all that has happened to get her to where she is today, and that she's following her dream and what her heart has told her to do. And I just look at her and just so strong. And she's just so brave and loving and compassionate. She's so compassionate, so full of empathy, and she's going to bless many, many families. I just know it. So I couldn't be more as a mama. Oh my goodness. The different.
Oh,
The question.
that's awful. Where's something I say all the time is, I spent so many years at the bedside where you don't cry. And so now I just come to the podcast and just cry.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Oh gosh. Okay. Yeah, we'll see if I can make it through.
No, I would not have been able to get through it without her by my side. Just my sounding board, even for those dark days. I mean, I think she really showed me the strength and how to be such an empowering mother and amazing caretaker. Yeah, she showed me a lot of strength because I can't imagine my baby going through what I did.
It's such a gift, as parents, our job is to teach our kids. And in return, like when you're lucky enough, you get to teach each other things and bring out the best and be there for each other. And I think it's why, as a child life specialist, when I became a parent, um, I really wanted to focus on empowering parents, to letting them know they're not alone, giving them all the tools, the tips, because they are their child's person. And we need the parent to be as strong as possible and as supported as possible so they can be there for their own children.
Mhm.
So I think you guys are such a testament to that and navigating it really beautifully. I know it wasn't always easy, but seeing you together today, next to that, you look like twins. You have the same color shirt on. The way your faces are just looking, I don't know what your dad looks like, but you just are this unit and I can just I see it.
Aw,
Was
so
very
kind.
sweet.
Thank you. Thank you. That was a big question.
Well,
Wow.
have
Thank you.
not been asked that before.
Love it. Well, how can people look up the CTI, the Children's Transplant Initiative? How can they donate? What's the best way to learn and support your organization?
I think the best way is our website, because you can find out everything on our website, and that's CTI-TX as in Texas.org. That's the best way. Of course, we are on social media as Children's Transplant Initiative. We're on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
Do you know if there's other organizations across the US? Are there any others that you've seen or really followed or learned from?
There's not a lot that are just for pediatric transplant. It's a very defined special need. But there's one in San Antonio called Transplants for Children. Fabulous. Yeah, their programs are very peer oriented. We've learned a lot from them, and we aspire to add some of their programs eventually to our mentoring program area. But we talked to some transplant related organizations, but not that specifically do what we do. We've talked to other housing. Of course, we know a hospitality housing network of different organizations. And there's some that are just transplant, and those are all over the country, but not too many that are just pediatric.
I love how you guys have modeled to kind of partnering with a corporation or a business in your realm of what you're looking to do. They can really help with growth and scaling and you started from an idea and now you've helped families all over Texas. So,
Yeah. That sometimes people would say, well, because our dream was, our vision was to build Kimmy's Cottage, a pediatric transplant. I love that name. However, our vision has changed
right.
because of the path that we've been on is, and everybody's like, well, when are you going to build Kimmy's Cottage? And we're like, we don't, because
Yeah.
we totally have just been taking it a step at a time. And what the Lord has put before us and how he has provided, we're on the journey, but it's not all ours. So
Oh, I
we're,
love that. It's because you're doing listening instead of just saying, I know what the end game is going to be. I've recently been doing this like kind of journaling exercises. And the thing that stood out to me the most is it's about the process, not the product. And if we have our idea on what the product should be, we miss out on where the process actually takes us. And it's exactly what you guys have said.
yeah, I love that. And when you said a family at a time, that is exactly was our goal. Let's just touch this one family at a time. If that's all we is touch one family, then we've touched one family. So yeah, we've been very blessed to meet some very wonderful families and children and parents.
I feel so lucky to know you now and can't wait to share more about what you're building. And Kimmy, we have to be friends now because we're both child life specialists in Texas. There's not that many of us, so we'll have to meet at some point.
Yes, I would love that. I would absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much. And so we'll make sure we link to all of your pages and everything. But thank you for being with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much.
You guys, I have the best news. If you didn't hear it at the beginning of the episode, Support Spot, our app, is now available for every parent. You no longer need a hospital code to log in. So go ahead, go to childlifeoncall.com/supportspot. So go ahead and go to childlifeoncall.com/supportspot and download our app today. Hospitals and child life specialists, yes, we are still partnering with you if you want to customize content or provide this app to your families free of charge. We're so grateful that you're here. When you rate and review this podcast, it helps other families be able to find us. So let's keep doing that. And I will see you again here next week.